Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and oh my gosh, I've got a lot of names to talk about today. We have a panel of really fast Boston Marathon runners, and I'm going to introduce them right now. Quickly, I'm going to go with Julie Rembold. Julie, how are you?
Good. How are you? Of
Doing well. Thanks for coming on.
course,
A-
I'm excited to be here.
And we have Liz Northern. Liz, how are you?
I am great. Happy to be here. Thanks for including me all the way in Fort Worth.
All the way in Fort Worth. It's really not that far, but yes,
It's not that far.
exactly. We're all virtual, so it doesn't really matter. Nobody had to drive anywhere, so that's good. Rebecca Roush. Rebecca,
It's an
how are
honor
you?
to be here. Great. It's an honor to be here.
Welcome. Maddie Stier. I know Maddie's last name, so that's good.
Thank you, Chris. And yeah, you said it right. Good job.
You corrected me that one time. And Julie, she's Jill Wolf. Jill, how are you?
How are you?
Doing well. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
All right. So now that we get all the names going, what I want to do is talk a little bit about your Boston Marathon times, how you did, how you felt, and going into that. And so I want to start with Julie. Julie, you ran Boston. How many times have you run Boston? And let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this is my second time. I ran Boston in 2019. And I guess real briefly, I'd only been training for about 14 months and was very excited. I ran 251. And that year was
Wait, you
fairly
ran
humid.
251 this time?
No, I ran
Oh, last time.
2019. Yep.
Julie, I
Thanks.
need to interrupt you because you said you were only training for 14 months. You mean you were only running for 14 months at that time, right? Like you had just started running.
I jogged a little bit here and there. I say like maybe 7 to 15 miles a week, but yes, running more than 20 miles a week.
I just want to
And
make sure that she gets the credit because that is very impressive.
Really
thank
impressive.
you. Yeah. And I think at that point, I still didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I joked that at that point, it was after that I met some friends at the track. And I realized that this whole time I'd been starting at the wrong point on the track. I didn't even know where you start on a track. So I really didn't know anything. So to come in, I was 77th female that year. So that was really exciting and really just kind of got me really excited about this sport. That was fun. And then to fast forward now 6 years later, I went through a journey. I won't get into all of that. That would take too long. But 6 years later, now I was back 2025 and just had the best time this year. I ran 256, so a little bit shy of that. But after the journey I went through, it was just an incredible experience. And I think the turning point again. So I had so much fun.
And Julie, that's impressive. It's crazy. So when you qualified, what race was it that you qualified in before
Yeah.
Boston?
This year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this year's
So
Boston.
this year I ran, was it Indy? Yeah. I qualified at Indy first and registered with that. But then recently I ran Houston just this last January. And so Houston bettered my time a little bit and ran 259 in
Okay.
January. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's
then
impressive.
turned around and I only had 3 months. I dropped back the mileage a little bit. I felt like I needed to just really ease up. And so I dropped back the mileage and so ran really low mileage for those 3 months and just went out there. I actually got the flu 14 days before this Boston. And so I wasn't really sure. I was feeling like, I don't know, we'll just see what happens. And then about 3 days before I started feeling good again. And so I just went out there to have fun and see what happened. So I was very excited when I was able to cross the line in 256.
Congratulations. It was a beautiful day, and that's really awesome. So let's go to Liz Northern. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome.
How
Yes.
was your Boston? How many have you
So
run, and how was it this year?
this was my first Boston. I have never run Boston before. And I know that I've run so many other cool races, like really cool races, and just the timing of the race and it's expensive to
Very.
get there with flights and the hotel and kids and school and everything. So it was an orchestration to get there. And I ran this 100K in India in December and I'm tired. I was tired. And so I told my coach, it's like, I want to run Boston and then I'm going to take a break. And so we have built this all up. And like, I'm going to bring the family. I'm going to bring my parents. And we made it. It was beautiful that it was on Easter weekend also. So that was very special. There have been two races in my lifetime that I can remember that I have crossed the finish line and have said, I can go run like another 10 miles. Like this was one of them. And the 2020 Olympic trials was the only other one because I was having like my face hurt from smiling so much. I had
That's
so much
awesome.
fun at this race. I added so much mileage to this race from weaving in and out of the crowd to give everybody high fives. And
No way.
I spent, when I finally found my family, they were at like mile 24, I think. And I hugged everybody. I spent probably a solid minute just there at Coolidge Corner, hugging everybody and crying. And I was like, this is so beautiful. Anyways, I had the time of my life. Like, I see why people come back to Boston.
Yeah.
I see it now. And cannot say that I have drank the Kool-Aid completely because I do need a break. I do need a break from running, but I see why people come back. And it was an amazing experience. It was amazing. Yes. So if I'm going to be a Boston campaign, there it is.
I love that. And I think, just when I was there, it felt like, look, I didn't run Boston Marathon, but I was there and get to be in the atmosphere and watch people run it. And even the day before, where you get to go and run with some of the groups that were just getting ready for tomorrow and things like that. But then just the atmosphere, I was out at the bleachers. My wife, she's been there 12 times, so we get this unicorn club thing. And so I get to be at the front of the seats, but at 1 o'clock, I didn't get to see some of the really fast runners like you across the finish line, but all of you is when I say you. But it was just electric, and it was amazing. And Liz, it's funny you say that because you still ran under 3 this time, didn't you? And you just weaved in and out of crowds, so that's interesting.
It was amazing. I had so much fun.
That's great.
So much fun, and I feel really grateful to have run that time. I feel like I had the most fun of any Boston participant out there because I don't know. I think all of my pictures will say that. Like I had so much fun. So much fun.
That's great. I love that. We'll get back to you in a minute because I definitely want to talk about training with everyone. Rebecca, let's talk to you a little bit.
So Boston for me, I think I ran one of the runs in early January with Maddie. I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna do Boston. My husband got in for the first time. We had our first baby last July, so then you register in October. I had a postpartum deferral. And I was like, okay, so we elected in October. And then my husband got in. We're like, oh, yeah, we're both in. Okay.
Wow.
And then January, I was like, okay, we're going to start training. And then I was on a run with Maddie and first long run, I think. And then a week later, me and the baby got sick. And then work was going crazy. And I was like, it was just a lot. My husband works a lot too. And it was just like, okay, you trained my husband. And I was like, we're just going to survive at this point. And so I quit for a while. And then 34 days.
Training for a while, you said?
Yeah, I was still running 20 miles a week maybe, so 4 runs, literally super easy, and was just like, okay, I'm just trying to survive at this point, kind of after got over the sickness. And then 34 days out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Having the baby, and then it was like a debate too. I want to bring the baby. Just a whole thing, I don't know, just trying to navigate all the new mom things and all the decisions, and it's just a huge sacrifice to train for a marathon. In the past too, it was I always really trained for a marathon, and so I always felt very prepared, but this intimidated me. 34 days out, can I actually even do this? I've only run 1 long run in a year and a half. So yeah, with 34 days out, I was like, okay, I can get 4 long runs. And I don't know. So my mindset going into it was a little bit chaotic. It was literally can I even do this? Almost doubting myself. And then postpartum, just what can my body actually do? But honestly, even seeing Maddie and I don't know, just all these other moms, it was just it's they can do it. They've done so amazing. So it's just so encouraging to see other people do it too. So yeah, it was a little bit chaotic, but
You did it.
I did it. Yeah.
Was this your first one or?
It was my second one. I did
Okay.
Boston in 2023.
Okay. So you knew the atmosphere, but it was a little different for you because your husband made it. You brought your baby, right?
We didn't end up bringing the babies. But you got to book the hotels 6 months in advance too. So it was we had a 1 bed, and I was like, oh, we can't take care of the baby while we're both running. So we're like, okay. So that was the whole thing. We're like, we'll leave him. Both of our parents were super gracious and helping. But yeah, just lots of navigating, lots of new life things. And it was great. Yeah, we missed him on Easter. We celebrate Easter the weekend before, but it was super great. And you just never know. Running's such a gift, and like injuries with my whole running career. Just had a lot of injuries, like broken pelvis, torn ACL, and like it's just been, I used to have a lot of stress fractures and stuff, so you just never know, like whenever you like won't have your health or won't be healthy. So it was like, okay, I'm like physically can do this, let's do it.
You got it done. That seems pretty amazing. What race did you qualify on?
I think with this one, I guess Chicago of 23, that was like my last race before postpartum. I'd run a 2:57 there.
What'd you run in Boston?
This one I ran, see, 11 on 34 days of training, so not quite my
That's
best,
pretty
but
impressive. So,
happy just to get there.
congratulations. That's really great. And
Thanks.
come back to you as well. Maddie Stier, how are you?
Good. Yeah. So I somewhat agree with Becca. I think when you're postpartum and navigating marathons, chaos is the name of the game. And I know, Julie, I know you have a lot of kids, and Liz, you have a lot of kids too. So you guys know trying to build it in it's definitely putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So my training for this, it had its ups and downs. I would say overall it went relatively smoothly, especially towards the end. I was really able to dial it in and really get some of the bigger workouts. But it was funny because we had a huge group who was signed up to go, and I feel like almost half of them ended up not doing it or dropping out or getting injured for whatever reason. So it was a little.
I heard about that. I
Yeah.
heard there was a huge group from Dallas coming.
Yep.
And I was like, where is everybody?
Almost
But
so
I
many
saw
people
y'all.
dropped. Yeah. Because for
I'm
various
sorry.
reasons. And that was, you'd go to a long run. Oh, this person's not doing it. Oh, this person's not doing it. So then you would, I got in my head a little bit like, do I really want to do this? I knew I was going to do it. But anyways,
Really?
the race itself, honestly, it went really well. No complaints. There was a couple funny things that happened throughout, but this was my 7th time doing Boston. I actually used to be kind of like Jill. I used to be a Boston diehard when I like first started running in college. But then since I tried different races as well and haven't gone back since, this is my first time doing it, I think since 2019. But I ran a 2:55.
That's awesome.
Which I was very happy with. Honestly, I said anything sub 3 I will be happy with given the state of life. So I call it a win.
You act as if a sub 3 is like, I'll just try to do a sub 3. I better do that.
It's a good like threshold to break through because you feel like if you can do that, a lot of times you feel all right. I feel like my training paid off. It was a good race nonetheless.
Great race. What'd you run to qualify?
Like Becca, I did Rebecca. Sorry. Funny. When I first met Becca, I called her Courtney for a month. And she never corrected me, not once. Then
That's
finally, I think her
hilarious.
husband finally said something, and I was like, oh, I feel dumb. Anyway, me and Becca ran Chicago at the same time, and then we both ended up getting pregnant right after too. And then we both did Boston. So,
Something in the air. I don't know.
yep.
Maddie's
that's-
been my inspiration.
Thanks, Becca.
Jill, how are you?
I'm good. Like Maddie said, I'm Boston diehard. This was my 5th in a row, 6th if you count the virtual 2020 race because that was going to be my first, and I still did the virtual just
I
because.
feel like that counts. Right.
Sure, we'll
You
count
weren't
it.
in Boston, but
No.
all right.
So this was my 5th in person, and I will say, I think from a training perspective, similar to Julie, I did Houston in January. So 3 months is really not a good enough time to turn around, and
I wouldn't think so.
it's just your body's tired. And I jumped back up to pretty quick mileage. I ended up peaking at 100 miles a week on my peak week. So my body was just tired. And I am a person that if it's above 50, it's okay, we're going to be in for a little bit of a rougher day. I'm not a huge fan of anything above that. So still better than last year weather-wise, where people were passing out on the street on Boylston, which was absolutely crazy. But I was really happy. Ended up being, just started the race. I'm like, I'm just not going to look at my watch. We're just going to go off a feel. Let's just see how the day turns out. Cause it was 55 at the start, 51, 55, like depending on, I don't remember exactly, but it was warm. You didn't even need gloves. Still had a good day though. So had a 10-second course PR for myself. So at a 2:54. So I'm pretty happy with the day as it turned out.
That's pretty impressive considering you just got done running Houston really fast. Houston, your PR, right?
Yeah.
Not
Julie,
too
we
long.
must have been finishing right around each other because I was 2:48. Like literally probably just right around each other as we finished.
Houston, I only ran 2:59 in Houston.
No, but look, we must have been close at some point because I was barely at the 250 mark leading at the half. So
We might
I
have
must
been. We might have
probably
run
were
together
close by.
some.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious to know. So Jill mentioned she ran 100 miles peak week. Is that normal for everybody else? What I know Rebecca mentioned that she just had just a few weeks, or not that a few 30 days or 40 days to even train. But what is? I'm just throw this out there because whoever wants to answer. But what does that peak week look like before Boston?
Yeah, I'm with Jill. I do pretty high mileage as well. I respond well to high mileage, and I think it helps me mentally. So I was with Jill. I did 100 miles. I peaked at that. Sorry, Julie.
No, that's okay. For this one, as I said, I've been doing a little bit lower due to the journey I've been on since 2019. And I ran about 65 miles for a few weeks and actually only ran like 50 to 51 for a couple weeks before. So really, I probably averaged about 62, 63. But this was an incredible turning point, I think, back on my journey. And so I texted my coach right afterwards and I said, all right, I'm ready now. So for the next one, I'm planning to get back into 85 to 90. But I was just waiting till my body showed me that I was ready for that in a race. And this is the one where I felt like it really showed me, okay, you're ready again. So, yeah. So I'm planning to turn that back up to 85 to 90 and we'll see where we go from there.
I mean, this is
But this
insane
one
to me.
was,
But
yeah, this one was only 61 or 62 for Boston. So I think pretty low, I would assume, for most
Only
people.
60.
Yeah, I know. When I
some
first
slackers
started,
in here.
as Maddie commented, my chiropractor still jokes at me because, as Maddie mentioned, that I was so new to this earlier. I remember when I first started training and my coach gave me 40 miles, and I was like, who runs 40 miles in a week? And I was like, that's so crazy. And so now my chiropractor that heard that comment at the beginning, like when I go, I only ran 60 miles this week, likes to tease me about that. Yeah.
Liz, I'm curious to know what your training cycle looks like.
I've had a really crazy 6 months, I think. I mentioned I did this huge race in India in December as 100K. And I know I had 30, 40 mile training runs leading into it. And
Just one run.
did the race. So did the race. And my longest long run between India and Boston was honestly, Maddie, it was Cowtown. I did my like warm up and then I did Cowtown with you and then I ran home and it was a 20 mile, I made it a 20 mile day. That was the only 20 miler I did. And because I needed a break. And which is, I feel so lucky to say that I can just go run a 256 on like haphazard
20
training.
miles a week.
No, I've been going like
I'm just
I'm
joking.
not the textbook. I'm not at all. I think my training going into Boston, I do a lot of quality over quantity. I think I've said that to a few people. When you have multiple kids that are my older kids are in grade school and my youngest is 1. And so we're
Okay.
all over the place. And it is definitely quality over quantity training. I've added weight training too because I'm getting into perimenopause age. So I've been trying to take care of my body that way, but it's shown its benefits but I don't think I crested 40 to 50 miles ever leading into this race. But it obviously it's paid off because I think I have figured out my threshold with just where my lactic threshold is. And so I can hold a certain pace for a very long time. And anyways, yes, don't take me as an example of how to train, is what I'm trying to say. But if you want to talk about parenting and running with lots of kids of various ages, I'm your person.
No, I think that would be a great episode, to be honest. I think a lot of people would be interested in something like that for sure. And it's pretty amazing. You ran 100. Is that the most you've ever run? Was 100K? Or
So
you
I
went to India? That's pretty crazy.
300Ks. And then I've also done a
Okay.
6 hour run. All of my high mileage stuff really started after once the pandemic set in. I think we all were impacted differently by the pandemic. And for my older two, they associate the pandemic with not being able to buy Lucky Charms at the grocery store or whatever it was. But for me, I just
Of course.
added a whole bunch of mileage to my running. And so I got into 6 hour runs and then it turned into 100K. And so that's where that whole realm got into my life. And I got very comfortable with running by myself for a long time. You get to know yourself very well. I'm sure even with marathon training, all of us women here on this podcast, and you too, Chris, we all know each other very well because we have to spend a lot of time with ourselves in our head. And that was important during the pandemic. But anyways, that's just a little bit of my story with how I got into 100Ks.
Yeah, I love that. Anybody want to talk about the atmosphere going in? I know that Rebecca, you mentioned that you were sick and you didn't get to run a lot. We'll start with Rebecca since I call on you. What was that atmosphere like and what kind of as the day came? Tell me about that and afterwards and how you felt and just how your mindset was.
I feel like during the race, it's just, I don't know if that's the good place to start, but it's just like electric because there's just people the entire run. So it's just nice. I don't know. A lot of those runs, maybe different marathons you qualify at or different marathons you run, there'll be like just long pockets of miles with no one there and you're just like trying to grind in your mind of, okay, like we're good. But it was like the entire run. It's just like walls of people. So I don't know. That was like super encouraging. And then it's just super great to have other training groups there. A lot of people from Train Pegasus and Completely Sloth and like the groups that we'd run with, which I didn't get to run with them quite as much this time, but on those like I think I made it to 2 or 3 of the long runs with them. So it was just like super encouraging to have all those people there. So it's almost just like a little like friend reunion too, and to get to share that like with everyone else and know that they're like going for the same goal. So I feel like
I think the community helps you make it. Because when I got there, the pre-run or the day before the run or the race, there's 40 people there, like from Dallas. So there was I think y'all mentioned that there was a lot of people that didn't show up, but there's a lot of people that did show up too, right? So they all stay in the same hotel. It's interesting. Oh man, we pay for this every year. It's pretty expensive.
Chris, did you stay in the hotel with the fire alarm the night before?
Yeah, I sure did. So I was like, what the hell is going on? This fire alarm? Like my wife was
Anyone who
like,
didn't stay at the
yes.
Park Plaza at 9 p.m., fire alarm going off in the building. We all had to evacuate out of the building. It was
We were
down. I
literally like
think.
texting each other, are we okay? Are we gonna die?
That
Did
sounds
you
no.
take
awful.
Did you take your bib with you? Did you take any of your race gear? Because people were packing bags and walking down the stairs, and I'm like, no, I'm out. Kindle, clothes, key, get me out of here.
Like the stairs are gonna wreck our legs. Not for the morning.
My wife happy. She's like, call downstairs now. I was like, all right, calling downstairs. Hey, what's going on? Do we need to leave? And I'm like, okay, we don't need to leave. We're fine. And she's like, and then it goes off again. She goes, I'm going down. I was like, it's fine. So yeah, it was for her. It was.
Wait, so Chris,
pain
you
in the
guys
butt.
didn't even evacuate? You just stayed?
We stayed too.
I evacuated.
We started going down the stairs, and then somebody started coming back up, and I was like, forget about this. I'm going up or staying. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Rebecca. Keep going. So it was electric. It was fun, and seeing the people. What else?
Yes. And then my husband's first too. It was just so fun just being able to
This is first.
share it with family. So that was super fun.
Yeah.
Just getting to share the moment with him too. And yeah, it was
Did
great.
he? So did y'all race? Who won out of the two of you?
He
I'm
won.
curious.
He won.
He did?
He trained a lot and did really well. But
Okay.
yeah, he was ahead of me this time, which is good. I was happy for him.
Cool. Jill, the one that's just die hard. So I want to hear about this.
I will say, out of the 5 years that I've done it in person, that was probably the best spectators we've had. There was something, like I said, 55 and above, terrible running weather for me, but it just
Yes.
it's ideal for the spectators. So
It was perfect
I
for
think
me.
so it was fun. I think Wellesley was crazy. I think every year it's crazy, but like you can hear them coming like half a mile plus
I
away.
kissed the girl.
Did you? I was gonna ask because you were the first time.
Nice.
I did.
I did.
Wellesley was amazing. I don't even
It was
remember Wellesley in 2019, but it was unforgettable this year. Wellesley was really on fire.
I think the Boston University, Boston College area, though, was the crazy part. That was where, like, those college kids, just right after you peaked heartbreak, were just, whatever they were drinking, I wanted some because they were just like off the wall, crazy, super fun. From a spectator perspective, it was amazing this year. Couldn't have asked for better, in my opinion.
So does anybody go to the day before or two? I don't remember, but a lot of times we'll walk the streets of Boston, downtown, and there's Tracksmith, Adidas, there's all kinds of different places like these quick hit shops that you can go into that have cool gear and things like that. Anybody go in and look at that kind of stuff and excited about that? I want to hear about that. Good. I figure.
So I know This is something that's changed probably since the 2019 year. They've changed this after COVID, that all this, they don't go to the expo anymore. They just do pop-ups on Newberry. And it's a party block. Like every like ASICs and everything. We didn't, it was, I think they're also just people walking around, but the days before the race was even more than years prior too. It was
It was a
crazy.
lot.
They have DJs, they're doing like screen printing. It was just a fun environment to be at the day before. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that though.
It was the whole weekend was electric. Electric was the word that came to mind for me also, like Rebecca said. And we actually are, I picked an Airbnb. I knew the area, but I didn't really remember it specifically. And somehow I got this Airbnb right on Newberry, right off of Hereford. So it was like literally it was like right in the heart of everything. But I don't
That's
wait
awesome.
in all those lines. I just feel like lines drain my energy. And so I did not wait in a single line for anything except getting my bib. But I was right there in the heart, absorbing all that energy as I walked to get my coffee every day. So it was a really fun place to be.
Did you wait in line to get your medal engraved?
No, I did
Those
not.
things are also crazy.
I'm not a line person.
Talking about lines, I don't know, Liz, I know you had your kids there, so I don't know if you guys had a stroller, but at the expo, there was a huge line and people had to weave through. We got to bypass all of that because we had a stroller, so they just sent us right over to the elevator, and we just went right up, walked right over to our bibs. We were waiting for Eric Brettel and Aaron Pearson. They were there too, so we were going with them, and they just took the escalator thinking it would be right there. Oh my gosh, we probably waited for them for 45 minutes because we just were able to go right up and they had to weave all around. But yeah, Expo is very different now than how it used to be. I walked in, I was like, where is everything? I didn't know.
I think some of those vendors own that expo, right? And so the other ones have to go get these pop-ups. That's how kind of these expos are doing now, is that one vendor owns it, and then you'll have, I don't know how to say this without saying it, is other shitty things there, right? Besides the vendor kind of stuff. So you'll have those pop-ups. Boston does a really good job. Sorry, Liz, go ahead.
No, we went to the expo very late. Like I think we were one of the last people to go to the expo, and we had no lines. We went after, so the whole Easter, we're Catholic. We went to mass. It was like line wrapped around the entire block of this beautiful 1890 church. It was incredible. And then we went to the finish line. Then we went to lunch, and then we went to the expo on Sunday at like 3 o'clock, right before it closed. We had no line. And we also, so I ran with the Puma Project 3. And so we went to the Puma spot, which was on what you're talking about. They had a pop up, and it was incredible because they had this insane candy bar, like a buffet of candy. And so my 7 and 8-year-old were like, what is this place?
It's an amazing place, Mom.
They just had a ball, and we did all of the stops. But yes, they pulled out all of the nines, and it was incredible. Puma did a great job with their spot. Granted, that's the only one that I stopped in, but I can say that they did a really good job. And I know what you mean, that Adidas and Bank of America, they took over the expo because they're obviously the primary sponsors of the race. But yes, all of these other groups have done a really neat job of having pop-ups, and it's cool to see that happen.
And they've been doing it for the last few years. It's becoming even more and more popular. I remember last year Nike, and maybe they were doing it this year, I'm not sure, but if they stop you on the street, they'd give you a free pair of their shoes, but you'd have to take off your old ones, the ones you have now. So they were like, hey, if you take off your shoes now, the ones you have on, we'll trade you. So some people wouldn't do it and some people would, but it was still cool.
Where was that? Because I would have loved to trade up my shoes. That would have been great.
I didn't see it this year, but I heard Alan S. Schoenberg, or whatever his last name is, was telling me about it.
Would they like donate the old shoes? Why did they want your shoes?
I don't know. I don't have all the details on it, but I thought it was cool to give you a brand new pair of shoes. Which ones do they give you? I don't know.
That is cool.
There's little things like that. So when me and my wife go, we usually go like on a we get there on Friday morning usually. Sometimes we get there on Thursday, and we'll go to the expo on Friday because we like to just do things right then, like just get it done, and we don't want to stand in lines or the least amount of lines that we can stand in. Liz lives dangerous, it sounds, but so we don't do that. And then Friday and Saturday we'll walk around, and I'll do the 5K every now and then. She'll do it. We've been going for a long time, and this year, by the way, the 5K was different. They finished at the finish line for the first time, which was really cool. But it felt like it took them an hour or longer just to go, like to start, because they have the men's, the women's, then the elites, and then there's elites in the 5K. So, anyways, and on Sunday she'll rest, and usually have friends that I know in Boston I used to work with, and I'll hang out with them. So we have our little things that we do, and I felt like this year to me was way more electric than any other year I've been there. Not run it, just been there, and it was so fun. And I'm getting to know more and more people in Dallas, so when I get to see folks like you there and stuff, it makes it even more special to me because I know people, so that's good. Maddie, how was your experience? You didn't bring your kids, right? I don't think I saw you, by the way.
My experience is a little bit unique. So my brother and sister-in-law live in Wayland, Massachusetts, which is maybe 20 minutes in the suburbs. It's on the way to Hopkinton. So we stayed with them and we got to have a good family weekend with them. We came into the city on Saturday and we got brunch and then we went to the expo. But yeah, most of our time was spent out there with them and their son. And then even on race day, my brother, he drove me to Hopkinton. So I just got dropped off at the shuttle bus there. And really, it should only be a 5-minute ride from where the shuttle in Hopkinton takes you to the school. But of course, they go the most roundabout way. Of course, the bus always gets lost because it has to get lost every year. I don't know how. And yeah, so that works.
It's a new bus driver.
Yeah. But
happened to us at CIM too. It happens
really?
all over the US.
Don't tell me that. I just signed up for CIM. But I actually had a very unique thing or kind of funny story that happened to me during the race. So I ran with my phone, which I don't.
Really?
So normally I won't do this for a race, and I typically run with my phone during long runs and stuff. Chris, you made fun of me for having everything in my pocket, phone being one of them.
I just saw a bunch of stuff in pockets.
I have a lot of stuff.
I
got a lot of gear.
Yeah.
So this is not different that I would run with my phone because I do it for long runs. But anyway, I'm starting, and I ran with my friend Mani, who you've also interviewed.
Yeah.
There's a picture of us at the start line. My phone's in my pocket, so I know it was there. Julie, we had saw you. My phone was there. So then we're running. We get to mile 3, and Mani had mentioned something about make sure you take a gel soon. I don't know. He said something, and I reach him. My pocket is empty. There's no gels, and there's no phone. And this is mile 3. So I turn around for a split second, and I'm like, even if it dropped it, I can't do anything. It's trampled. It's lost. I have no idea. So Mani runs with his phone too, and I said, hey, I think I dropped my phone. Can we quick call my husband? This is as we're running. Can we call my husband?
As you're running the marathon?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So Mani called my husband because he had his phone and Bluetooth connected and told my husband, hey, Maddie lost her phone. And my husband said, yeah, we got it taken care of. Basically, I think it had fallen out somewhere because we started at 10:06 is when my Strava started, or my GPS. The first call out of my phone is at 10:11. So it had to have happened sometime right in the first mile. Someone picked it up. There's a lock on my phone. So at first I was like, how did they call someone? I think they used Siri and they just said, hey, Siri, call dad or call mom. My mom's in my phone is something else. My dad's in my phone is dad. They called my dad, who's in Cleveland, by the way. My dad somehow answered. My dad doesn't answer all the time. My dad then called my brother. They were able to track it down. Someone turned it into the tent. Phone totally fine, not scratched, nothing. But I had also lost my gels. So now we're starting a race. I don't have gels. Thankfully, Dustin gave me some gels, and then they were passing out Morton's on the course. But it was a good distraction.
I don't even know what to say about that because...
Isn't that crazy?
That it all worked out. And you not having gels, because that would scare me, but I would think they would have something on the course that might be able to help.
I run with Morton, so I knew they were going to have Morton, but I don't want to count on that. So thankfully, Dustin, who was just there to have a good time, and he was taking videos and pictures the whole time, he was like, yeah, take a gel. Take all my gels. I don't care.
And he was casually running under 3 hour too?
He was just there to have a good time.
Okay. Y'all do know that, for the most part, running under 3 hours is not really normal. It's fast. It's generally you don't go and I'm just gonna casually just jog a 3-hour marathon. Just that's why you're on, because y'all have done something super special. And I know, Rebecca, you didn't hit the 3 hours, but you're very close and you've done it in the past. You still ran very well. Julie, we had to get to you about this experience.
Yes, Boston. Afterwards, I was like, everybody should come experience Boston. And maybe this time it was just that much more electric because those are my two favorite races, 2019 Boston, 2025 Boston. And yeah, I'll definitely be back. But I left feeling like this is just an experience. I feel like no matter if you're a runner or a spectator, I don't know if it's the same experience as a spectator, but I got to imagine the energy is just as amazing. But yeah, I got to see Maddie walking to the start. That was super exciting, and just to get to run into someone on the way to the start. And then, yeah, I didn't have anything too crazy, like losing my phone or gels. That's crazy. But no, it
I don't
was
think
just
anybody's
incredible.
gonna top that story, Julie. So
I know.
don't worry.
But it was just incredible. I would probably say one of the best things I did this time is after dropping my miles and then also having those off weeks, the 50-mile weeks from just, I don't know. So I guess I haven't mentioned yet. I have 5 children, 4 teenagers and an 11-year-old. So that's fun. And so it is super fun. I love it. And so we just had some different things pop up, and then the flu added in there. So I was the weekend leading up thinking, okay, it wasn't necessarily a killer training cycle. And I thought, I think I'm just going to really use this marathon to do the best I've ever done on nutrition. I was like, and the way I viewed it was, I am going to just blow nutrition out of the park and see what happens. Because I really didn't have anything to lose at that point. And I think I've always cut it a little bit short because I feel like every time you take a gel, you're losing a few seconds, and I'm trying to optimize every second. And so I didn't really ever have that experience of, oh, but you gain a lot of seconds at the end. And so this time I was like, all right, I'm going to eat a lot. I'm going to take in a whole bunch before. I'm going to take a gel before I start for the first time. And I'm going to take a lot of gels on the course. And I think that just really made this one just really awesome. So it was definitely the most I've ever taken in nutrition. And so I started the race. My husband had a whole plan. He had a very meticulous plan to try to catch me at 3 stops. He had the train line,
Awesome.
the bus line. He had it all mapped out on paper. He had my possible different variety of paces. Since I wasn't that dialed in for the race, we weren't quite sure how fast I was going to run. So he had all these different possibilities.
I would never do that, by the way. I'll just wait at the end.
Yeah, he's an engineer, so he very much engineered the master possible plan.
I love it. And I would like to follow him next time if he doesn't
Yeah.
mind me hanging out. Anyways, good.
No, absolutely. He'd be all in for someone. So he took the train and he was going to catch me at Framingham. But I saw the Framingham sign and I thought he said at the 10K-ish, but I saw the sign at 5 miles. So I was like, wait. So I moved over to the left because I knew he said he was going to be on the north side. And so I'm running. And so for a little over a mile, I'm just like scanning the crowd as I'm running. Like, he did all this work. I don't want him to miss me. And so I'm like scanning the crowd. And then finally I see the train station up ahead. And I was like, that's where it is. And so I saw him like partway up a pole, like with his camera all out. So that was super
That's
fun
awesome.
point. And then of course Wellesley was just amazing. And then he caught me again, I think about the halfway. So that was fun. And then he was trying to catch me at the ballpark, Fenway, but I think he was calculating, and he said the train was really slow this time. He said the spectators were so out of control that they were not letting people, like the train would stop and they wouldn't let a single person because nobody was getting off and it was already so packed. And so he said compared to 2019, the trains were there was so many spectators so he had to skip that and go straight to the finish. So we joked that I ran too fast for the train, but yeah. So it was that was all fun. Just catching him, seeing people, the spectators were incredible. It really is, I think, just the best race. I'm sold Boston is definitely the best race to run.
That's awesome.
I guess the only little catch up I had was I was coming in like mile 24 and I came over heartbreak and I was still feeling good. So I was like, all right, I got this. And the other thing with gels, and then I decided I was going to hit every water stop. So I was like, besides the start, I took 4.5 gels. So I'm like, I'm not going to miss any of my gels and I'm going to hit all the water stops. And so I'm hitting all the water stops. And then I get to like mile 24 and I'm feeling really good. And I look down and I'm running like 6:12 pace. And I'm like, man, I might even be able to run 2:55, which I wasn't really planning. I was looking for just sub 3. And I'm thinking, this is great. And then I see the next water stop and I'm like, I should skip it. I'm feeling so good. I should just keep cruising. 6:12. I can do this.
Take maybe.
But I'm like, no,
Down to thirst
all
later.
the gels, all the water. This has worked out for me so far. Don't change your plan. It's working good. Yeah. And I've been dumping it on me. And I was like, don't change the plan now. So I'm like, okay. So I move over to the mile 24 water stop, and I know it's going to slow me down a little bit, but it's fine. And I come over, and then I find a place to step in to grab the water. And right when I step in and grab the water, 3 runners right in front of me grabbed their water and came to a dead stop.
No.
So I dead stopped, so I didn't plow them over, and then jumped over, and I lost my momentum with that. I still got it, but I never got back to 6:12 again, and I was like, I should have. I knew I should have skipped that one and just kept going, but it was fine. I skipped the next one. I did skip the next one. I was like, no more water stops after that.
See, you had that was a great story.
So I did have a story after all.
Yeah, of course. Of course, everybody does.
And then I got to run right past my Airbnb. I turned right on Hereford. I'm like, there's my place. All right, we're almost there. So that
You didn't
was
stop
fun
for
too.
coffee, so.
No, I was like, I think I can finish at this point.
Liz, we didn't ask you already, right?
About Boston?
But just your experience, like.
So, yes. So I saw Maddie at the start. We were in the village together, and I think I saw Rebecca for a second. I didn't know who you were, but I think I saw you too. And I got, what was really crazy was that we were walking to the start, and there's this man next to me, and this is the joke with Boston, that there's all these people in bathrobes. Have y'all seen that? There's a bunch of people in bathrobes. And so there's this man next to me in his bathrobe, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you look familiar. And sure enough, I was his pacer at Cowtown in
No way.
2024. So last year, I paced the 310 group at Cowtown, and he ran the whole thing. I ran the whole thing with him, and I was like, "You're Chris." He's him, Chris, and it's like, "You're Liz." I'm like, "I am Liz." And so we had we walked the whole way to the start together. It was very fun to have that little small world runners.
Super small world that
crazy.
you'd run into somebody like. That's crazy.
In his bathrobe, and I'm like, I should do this next time. I'm like in the long wait with everything. Just do a bathrobe. Maddie and I both brought our Cowtown jackets to throw off, so we thought ahead of.
Yeah, we didn't even coordinate. Me and Liz didn't even coordinate where we were going to be in the village. And I saw her and Caitlin Keene. I saw them right away. And even Julie, me and Julie saw each other right as we're walking to the start, right next to each other. It's like crazy how you just run into everyone.
Pretty awesome.
And Kate and I, we coordinated. We planned the whole morning together. And there was another gal from Flower Mound, Rena. I think y'all have met Rena a few times.
Oh, I didn't see her.
We met each other in the morning too. And then
it was
killed
crazy
it, by the way.
because Caitlin was wearing a Boston, like the new Boston shirt. I was like, this is your throwaway shirt? She said, oh, it was someone else's. They didn't want it anymore.
Yes. And then, yes, I will tell you that story a whole nother offline. Yes, it was
Dang
just
it.
there was exactly what everybody was saying. There was no time where there was not a spectator on the side of the street. Maybe for a second, but even that, there's nothing compared to it. And yeah, I had the time of my life. This is great. And this is coming from somebody who I've done so many races now. This is incredible. I'm probably not going to go to Boston again anytime soon, just with where my family is right now. But I'm so glad we did it. And now my son, my 7-year-old, wants to go to school on the train. He's like, when can we take the train to school? I'm like, that's great. Fort Worth doesn't have a train. And I'm like, if it was my decision, we'd give up our cars and just have trains. It would be great. He loved it. Everybody loved it. We even packed an Easter egg hunt. We had an Easter egg hunt at the hotel, and there were all these international runners there for Boston, and they participated in our Easter egg hunt with us. And at the hotel, it was fantastic. It was so much fun. And I think that's just part of the beauty of the big 6 races, big 7 now, but it's cool with everybody coming into it. Yes, I had the time of my life. Everything was great.
That's great. And I think, Liz, are you the only one? Anybody else bring their kids? I know Jill doesn't have kids
Not
yet.
yet.
But...
I brought the twins.
Okay.
Only one, no kids over here.
Not yet.
Yeah, and I brought my parents, my almost 70-year-old parents too. So we brought the whole family came, and we were all at this. We were at a hotel at Coolidge Corner, right by a Trader Joe's on the course route. I
Yeah,
planned
I know exactly where you were.
practically, and so they had to. I gave them directions. I'm like, there's no time constraints, but there's somewhat a time constraint. You need to cross the road before 11ish and then get across the street so that you can get on the train. And that was my only thing. And then I saw them and it was great. And they got to see everybody, all the elite runners, all the front runners came through and they loved it. And it was great. Because my older two don't remember a lot of the big races that I've been in. So they're going to remember this one, which is really cool. Like, this is really cool for them.
Well, it's really cool that you get to bring them because I always see bringing extra people would be very difficult unless it's just somebody that can take care of themselves. But bringing an entire family, the logistics and everything else. So kudos to you for doing that. Maddie, it sounds like you did that, but I know you're staying with your brother or whatever, but
Yeah, it
probably
still
helps.
sucked.
Yeah,
They
I'm sure
did.
that was
My
tough.
twins did not want to sleep. They don't sleep well. Needless to say, my next marathon, I'm going by myself.
We were
It's a lot
texting
easier.
each other the whole night.
Yeah, I texted Liz. I was like, I don't think I've slept.
I've ordered $80 from McDonald's. Don't worry.
And my kids were sick, so that kind of sucked. And that thankfully I didn't get sick until after, but 2 nights before I'm holding my son and he's just coughing in my face and I'm like, yep, okay. This is
Happy
happening.
motherhood.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Julie, you were going to say something? Sorry.
I was just say I would have loved to bring them. I think that would be an incredible experience. I'm hoping at some point I can. It just, as I think it's mentioned before, Boston is so expensive, and I do like to stay down there close by. So bringing 5 children with flights and all of that would have been a lot. But my oldest is a freshman at Texas A&M. At first she was sad I was going to be gone Easter weekend when she came home, but then she got so excited. She planned all the Easter egg hunts and they planned all these meals, and the 5 of them had a really fun time back at home. And my parents were here as well. So they had a lot of fun, but it would have been great to bring them. Hopefully I can in the future.
Yeah, it's a weird time that it falls on Easter. I know it doesn't every single year, so that's a positive, I think. So another Boston. Who's thinking about doing that next year? Jill? Julie? That's it?
Maybe.
Jill? Maybe Rebecca.
Love to.
Okay. No Maddie, huh?
Yeah, I'm with Liz. It's such a cool race, but logistically it's tough. To be honest, I don't love I don't think anyone really loves the 10 o'clock start, but I really don't like that. Oh, you like it, Julie? Okay.
Love the 10 o'clock start.
You're nuts. All right.
Yeah. I know I need to gear up for those 5 a.m. runs again. It's almost summer. It's almost here, but I'm not a super love the 4 and 5 a.m. So I love that the 10 a.m. gives me that time to not have to get up super early. Normally I get up and I feel like I've always been cramming the food, cramming all the stuff so I can shorten that window from when I wake up and when race starts. So Boston just gives me the opportunity to actually, I think, have enough time to do all of that. So I like the 10 a.m. start.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Another DFW running friend of mine, Madeline Rouse, who you have to have on, Chris, because she is so interesting. She has 4 kids. She loves later runs. She loves middle of the day runs. And I always tell her she's crazy. I actually 5 a.m. runs.
Related through her husband. He's like my god brother. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't
we know
you
each other
guys
from another life, which is
you grew
crazy.
up next door to each other? Is that
Yes.
right, Liz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
I just feel like I'm sitting here listening because y'all know each other. And I love this. It's great. So a couple of you are doing Boston. Rebecca's not sure. So what's next for all of you? Like throughout the year I don't want to say get ready to get Boston. I mean, I heard Liz say she's done running basically for a while. What's going on? That's what you said at the first.
I'm going to sign up for High Rocks in Dallas.
Okay.
Anybody want to do that with me? I have a partner.
Yes.
My neighbor and I.
No.
No upper body strength.
I don't need a partner, Liz, but I'm trying to convince my sister to come do it. I want to do I'm either going to do it with her or my husband. I don't know. I have to figure out where I would have a better
Do
chance
High
of
Rocks
doing
in
well.
November. We have to
Wait,
run
what
an
is it?
8K, right? I think it's an 8K that you have to
Can you
run.
talk about, Liz, what High Rocks is?
I don't know what it is. I'm literally being coerced
Liz.
into it from some
I
neighbors.
feel like Maddie knows then.
So High Rocks it's like the new, honestly, it's the new like CrossFit, basically. People still do CrossFit, don't get me wrong, but High Rocks, they do it in these convention centers essentially. And to be honest, I'm going to butcher the workouts, but a lot of them, there's like burpee broad jumps, or there are, I think maybe farmer
It's more
carry
like
might be one.
body weight.
Rowing.
Yeah. And yeah, it's more geared towards runners, I think.
I don't know about that.
Really, but
I think
it's like for hybrid athletes, people who do both.
Yeah.
So
It's more geared to triathletes, right?
not really
Maybe.
either,
No?
but no.
Okay.
It's a mix of you run a 1K and then you do a station. You run a 1K. You keep
just
just going back
CrossFit
and
in a different
forth.
way.
It is CrossFit, but
Yes.
there is a lot more running, and that's actually what gets most of the people who are got the upper body strength. It's the
Jill
running
hit
that
the,
It's
gets
like
Jill
them.
hit
almost
the
like an
nail on the
Orange
head.
Theory in a way. But
Chris, no.
racing. Sorry, Maddie. Guess not. She's a
No, Orange
hardcore
Theory's
kind of
great.
CrossFit person.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You are. Your husband is.
My husband does CrossFit, and I have my little setup in the garage. But yeah, no, High Rocks is cool.
if anybody wants to get into longer distance stuff, you can reach out to me because it's actually a very nice break from the heavy work, like the repeats
The
and everything.
hardcore.
So yes, I've enjoyed the longer stuff. So you can reach out if you need any of that. Yeah.
Funny you say that, Liz, because a marathon is long distance. But I hear what you're saying. You're talking about 50 miler, 100 milers, 100Ks, things like that. That it's not so hard. Believe it or not, I've done 50Ks and things like that, and my wife's done the 100 milers. But I would never do a 100 miler, by the way. But it is not as hardcore. You're not trying to go for speed this time, so it is different. I agree. All right. So what else, Rebecca? What are you gonna be doing in the next? You're a new mom and everything else. You're trying to figure it out. What are you thinking?
I'm
Don't
not
get
100%
injured.
sure. Yeah, I'm trying not to get injured, so not 100% sure yet. Thinking maybe Indy or CAM or Houston. Haven't like fully decided. I feel like those are on my radar.
Anything shorter, like half marathons to.
That's a great. I feel like normally I'll sign up for a marathon and be like, just throw in a half in there, like last minute. I feel like it's normally like last minute planning. But yeah, I feel like my training, I don't know, I know this one was kind of like an odd one, but people talked about like high mileage. I'm not. I feel like in college I tried to do the high mileage and it just like broke me. Every time it would get up, I was like just constantly injured. So I don't know, for me, like lower mileage of like only run 4, even if I'm like seriously training like 4 days a week. And then I try to, with my like torn ACL on my knee, like I don't know what it is. If I don't do strength, it's like knee starts hurting, like things aren't functioning properly. So I feel like the strength is like huge for me, like at least 2 days a week, and then try to get in more cross training, biking and that kind of thing. But this time around was a shorter block, but I think it's like helpful for me too. I don't know, the high, like super high mileage just doesn't work for me. I tried it and it's just not my thing. But yeah, we'll see.
I love that though, is that you're learning, because a lot of times runners aren't really good at strength training or core stuff. They just run. I've been a big proponent of that in the past, and I try to do more core stuff and not as hardcore as Maddie over there. But
Same.
I think that's good. Like you're 2 days a week, strength and things like that. Julie.
Yes. So I'm planning on the marathon project next.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they
Tell
brought
us
that back
more.
yeah. So they did the marathon project in 2020 when races were shut down. And at that time it was for professional runners so they could have a race. And they're bringing it back this year, but they're going to have amateur race on Saturday and then the professional race on Sunday. But at least when they brought it out, the qualification for the amateur race was faster than Boston qualification. But I'm not sure where it ended up in the end because they were trying to fill the slots. But it's going to be, I think it's 1,000 runners, so 500 men and 500 women. And yeah, so it's really to get some fast times. I think everybody's getting bottle service. And so that should be really fun. Yeah. And I signed up for it, not really knowing how Boston was going to go, but I think it's actually going to end up being perfect timing because Boston kind of gave me that green light. I've been looking for a few years to turn it back on again. Yeah. So this summer, I'm going to focus on shorter stuff, just jump into some 5Ks and looking forward to hopefully seeing what I can do in December.
I'm doing this 5K and I always promote it because I love it. It's called Mambo Miles and Tina sponsors it. So it's just this 5K that literally has 3,000 people in it.
Wow.
Right there downtown Dallas at the that park, Clyde Warren Park.
It's already sold out. You
It's already
can't
sold
get
out.
When is
I know.
it?
It's already sold out. Sorry, you can get on a wait
Really?
list.
When is it?
June, I think. Late June, late June. And it's just a big party, basically afterwards, drinking a little bit, stuff if you're into that. But yeah, I don't do a lot of drinking because I don't like to drink early in the mornings, but it's still just a big fun party, food, stuff like that. I feel like Eric Lindbergh and Sharon, they put these races on and they're always just 5Ks. and they're just a party every time.
Sounds fun. I'm gonna have to check out. Do they have a website with all their races?
Yeah, just go to Eric Lindbergh or Sharon Lindbergh. They're a marketing company, but they host these 5K races all over. They do Dallas and Fort Worth, I think, but they even go outside of. They go to Houston and other places.
The company's called On Your Left Marketing, if I remember
Yeah, you're
correctly.
right, Jill. Yeah, I forget their. Anyways,
Great. I'm
great
looking for
people,
some. So
but they're hardcore. It's crazy fun. 5K. Maddie, do you remember the
Yeah,
question?
I do. I
Because I
just
was
signed up.
thinking about what it was.
Yeah, what are the plans for the
Yeah.
rest of the year? I signed up for CIM. So after Boston, I was like, I don't know if I want to do another one of these for a while, but
done CIM before?
never done CIM.
Okay. I'll
Why?
text you.
Okay.
No, say it out loud. You can't just text her everything.
It is an earlier morning than Boston to get to the bus, but it is a fantastic race. It's fantastic. But there's a lot of tactics that go into how you race it.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to tell me all the tips. No, I'm excited. There's a huge group of people going. Becca, sign up.
Yes, Rebecca, you should sign up. Yes.
so I'm actually
Strava
officially
post is like,
I've run it twice and I've run it very well and not very well. And the second time that I did run it well, I had a much better time and I didn't lose as many toenails and didn't tear my quad or anything like that. So like you just need to train for the hills. It's a great race. Great race. Yes.
I know a lot of people that love it that have done well, and there's some people that haven't. So
I'm excited. This will be the first race I feel like that I've had honestly before my kids where I can't use like postpartum or any of that as an excuse. So I really want to I felt like I got back into it for Boston, but I'm going to say it now. I want to like actually try to go for a PR for once and train for a PR and not just go in for it willy-nilly. So I have the summer to just focus on not running or whatever high rocks type stuff if I actually want to do that. And then come this fall, I really do want to train hard.
what was your PR? You just got me curious. I forgot.
250 and some change at the Woodlands in 2021. So that was pre-kids. So
So
I
now
would love to go sub 250. So we'll see.
Sub 250. I love it. Jill.
So Maddie, we'll have to meet up and do some training because our races are about the same time, and I'm
Yes.
also going for a PR, and my PR is also 250. So we'll have
There we
to
go. Yes,
pair up.
perfect. And we live by
That's-
each other, so that works.
And we live by each other.
That's always fun, and that's always good. Just right there. Jill.
Yeah, so I am going back to Chicago. So this will be the first time
Okay.
going back since 2018. And Rebecca, there is a huge group going to Indy, by the way. I'm sure you know that. There's a huge group going to Indy. So depends on what time of year you want to race. But no, I got Chicago is going to be the marathon. I think I'm going to do a trifecta of halves, Dallas, Houston, Cowtown in the winter, and then get ready for Boston for 2026 is I think the plan Fonz and I have laid out. So let's see what the
By
next
the
year
way,
brings.
So I was talking to Fonz back in Boston, and he was telling me, like, he trains these people, folks like Jill, for example, and he goes, look, I never tell anybody to run more than 40 miles a week. He goes, I don't ever. He goes, I don't want people to run more than 40 miles a week. He goes, if they do, then it's on them. They do it. They run the extra miles on their own. I just wanted to get that cleared up because I was telling him, even for myself, I'm at max, like a 40 mile an hour, 40 miles a week kind of person. I'm not, my body just, and I've been doing this for years. I just can't do it. Like I'll get injured and all these things. And so I then quit running marathons and just started running halves and things like that, which is fine
And
because
be careful with him because he might only give us like 40 during the training block, but he hides a lot of his miles too. So whether
he
he
hides
says
it.
he gives, oh, yes, he hides them. He hides the
Wow.
Strava.
Really? How do you do that?
You can hide your run. You can,
You
if
can
you're,
totally hide whatever you want to hide on Strava. Yes.
he's known to, he'll hide a couple. So
No
don't
way.
always take his total mileage for as truth.
Okay. All right. I don't really.
Sorry, Fonz, calling you out on it.
I don't really look at people's Strava. I'm just not addicted to Strava. Like, I look at it every now and then. I'm like, oh, I haven't looked at this in months. So I'm on it. I just don't. Some people are addicted to it. I can see why. Any tips or tricks? Let's stick it to Boston there. Thoughts around that as you would give to other runners to say, look, do this, don't do this, that kind of stuff? And I'm just going to throw it out there for whoever wants to answer.
I'll say something. If you're breastfeeding, so I was breastfeeding, so that was a whole decision too. If I didn't want to stop breastfeeding, leave my baby. They had an incredible, you had to pump before the race whole thing. You could bring your pump. They had this whole tent set up. It was super great. Me and 2 others from Dallas, Megan Brown and Lizzie Brock, like we all did it together and it was super great, like super awesome experience. So I think it was super encouraging to anyone that feels like you have to give it up with like training for a race. So that's what I feel like part of my decision too, and like with it being super challenging was like, oh, I don't want to stop breastfeeding. And I think Melanie had heard her be on too, and it is quite a challenge even just training and like planning around it. And so I think it was super encouraging to have a race so supportive of, you can still do this, and they make it like logistically honestly not that bad. So that was, I'd say, for doing it, just the tips of like nutrition too, and you're burning like 600 more calories in a day. So it's like a lot on your body, like even energy wise it feels. So even learning to train like with that, I feel like it's been like such a challenge. But tips for Boston, I mean, if you're doing it, they're super like accommodating, and I'd say take in all the water. I feel like the sun at the end, I was like in the med tent for a minute, just like dehydration. Even try to take every water stop, but I'm like, man, I could have even taken in like even more of just, I don't know, it's just like a different ball game with that. But it's been a great learning experience. So highly encourage anyone else to do it because it is a challenge.
Does anybody, I love that. And quick story real quick is, has anybody heard of Liza Howard? Anybody know who she is? So she was this ultra, or I don't know if she's older now, she's 50, I think, and she was my wife's coach for a while, but an ultra elite runner. And so she'd run like the Leadvilles, and I don't know if you've heard of those, the 100-milers and win and stuff like that. But one year she was breastfeeding, right? And so she had to stop in the middle of the race to pump, and she stopped and did, and then she still won it. I was like, it was pretty crazy. She still won. Look, it's a little different, right? It's not a marathon, so I thought that was interesting. So thank you, Rebecca. Anything else? I feel like Liz is getting a little sleepy over there.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm still here. No, and thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. Yes, I pumped all through CIM. I've pumped through a number of the Texas Independence relays that we've done in Texas with, I've sat with Fonz, and I think Kieran is, I don't know, they've probably seen more than they would have liked to see of me, but like that, yeah, pumping is just part of life. It is part of being and sustaining humanity. And so it's crazy that it's taken this long to just make it happen. And I'm so glad that you were able to have that for your child and for your family. I'm so proud of you. That's great. That's so cool. Kudos to you. And just to very sharply turn back to Boston, this is like such a stark turn. My only tidbit is to book your hotel super early.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only other thing. Like once you're confirmed that you're in the race, book your hotel like literally that same day. That's my only other tidbit of wisdom. But yes, women's bodily things, like it is abhorrent that it's taken this long to get this way.
Yeah. Yeah. We always book right when we get back. I don't, but my wife does. And so we're already booked to go for next year. Any other tips? I feel like there's got to be a few more. There's 3 of you.
Yeah, my tip is I love how many water stops there are at Boston. I took, with it being, it wasn't necessarily warm, but there was all the sun coverage. So I took water every single water stop, even if it was just a sip. And I took 2 cups. I took one to drink and then one I poured over my head. Even when I wasn't even that hot yet, just to keep me cool.
I heard you really couldn't do that this year in London, but that's another topic. They were telling people to not drink so much.
My sister just ran the Maui Marathon, and they made you use a reusable cup. They gave you a cup, and they would fill it up with a pitcher. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like a trail race. You have to carry like a reusable cup, and then you can just stop at the aid stations. They have food and stuff like that at trail runs. But anyway, sorry. Julie, we'll get to Jill last again.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I know Boston has so many fun. I mean, there's just constant, we've already talked about this, but there's all the lines for everything. There's a million different live podcasts, all the things that you could do. But if you want to run your best, you do have to balance that. And I would say that's my biggest tip. I think it's so easy to get sucked into all the fun and then show up on race morning exhausted. And so that would be my only tip. And I think at any big marathons, you have to be more careful of that because there's just so much going on.
Well, I feel like Liz did the opposite of what you said. She just had all the fun and just partied throughout the entire marathon. So that's really awesome. Jill.
I'll piggyback off of that a little bit too, because I I go in early. I go in on Friday morning too. Go in and enjoy the race because it is something that I know obviously we probably take for granted that it's a US based race. There's people from all over the country. Like we were literally sitting in the hotel lobby and we were just talking about the Carmel Marathon that got canceled that morning on Saturday. Two people just walked up that were like, "Wait, are you talking about Carmel?" Random people, they were from Indiana. So it's such a great group of like people from all over the world coming to Boston and go and enjoy it. This has been my husband and I treat it as like our vacation every year because we got engaged there in 2022. So we really do love
Congratulations.
it. So thank you. So it's our trip. We truly treat it that way. And we go in early, we stay late so that we can go and enjoy the seaport and all the fun things post race that you really can't do before. So that's one of the like tips, like just for traveling and going. And then I would say for the race itself, do not underestimate those first 10 miles because they are steep. They are downhill. There are some rollers in there, which kind of throw you through a loop on a hot day. It's a brutal trek back to Boston from Hopkinton. I think that's just be careful those first one. You'll feel invincible until you're not.
That's right.
Yeah, I was
I've
gonna
heard
say,
that
and don't
before.
and don't underestimate the last 5 either. I think the map makes it look like after you crest Heartbreak, it's just downhill to the finish, and the map's very deceiving in that.
Mile with Sitco is terrible.
Yeah, there are rollers all the way to the end.
Like literally those last 5 miles, you're like just on cloud nine with the crowds. It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah.
I feel like, Liz, you're still on cloud nine. That's awesome. Like, I really think I don't know that I've heard somebody so, oh my God, I just ran under 3 hours and just was laughing and enjoyed it. And I think that's really great. And so all of your stories are really great. And I really do appreciate. Is there anything that I missed that you're like, Chris, you should have covered this? Or I wanted to talk about this or whatever, a quick thing. I don't know. I'm sure I missed a lot. Not one. All I'll say is, and maybe y'all can come up with something, but again, it was one of the best times I've had in Boston, maybe because my wife got this unicorn club thing, and I get to go to this from the Park Plaza Hotel. I get to go to this other hotel where all the elites were, and they had this breakfast. And then I went back to my hotel and came back and had lunch, and then I got a chance to go to the finish line. I had a nice little pass. And so for me, that was like really cool to do. And plus all the other things we did before going to, my wife likes to go to Tracksmith and look at shirts and things and she's get the Boston thing. And so I just enjoyed the atmosphere. The finish line was amazing. The people, just getting to see some of you there and having something like this, like a podcast that we have a chance to talk to fast DFW women that we get to spotlight. We get to talk about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you, right? There's supposed to be like 6 or 7, and I think 5 showed up, so it was good. But to me, it's a lot of fun and really cool that you all said yes to come to this podcast to talk about it. So thank you.
The one thing I'll add to you here,
I knew it.
we all run. No, I'm just gonna add to your sentiments there. We all run Boston, and I think it's easy to take for granted. Who did we lose? Liz.
It's okay.
Okay.
I think Liz left.
But yeah, so the one thing with Boston, I was talking to my brother who lives there. I said, living in Boston, do you feel like the Boston Marathon you're not a runner at all, but do you feel like it's special? And he's, oh yeah, schools are shut down, work is shut down. Everybody goes out and watches the Boston Marathon. Even talking to my friend Aaron Pearson said this, he said, Boston is so special because you go to a bar and you say, oh, I just ran the Boston Marathon. And the person next to you will be like, let me buy you a drink. It's not if you're in, not to throw shade to any other marathons, but people get mad because their roads are blocked or they can't make it through because of the marathon. People love the Boston Marathon and it's such a cool accomplishment. So I would just encourage anybody, if you have the opportunity to run it, it's definitely one as a runner that you should try to do at least once.
Thank you for
Well,
sharing that,
Boston,
Maddie. Go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead, Julie.
I was
Nope.
going to say thank you for sharing that because I came home and I was trying to tell people to capture the experience. And I basically said what you said, but I didn't know that it was true. Like, I was like, it feels like everyone at Boston, everyone there loves the marathon. Like, they all just come and they all love it. So I love that you have a local to really validate behind that because I think that is what makes it so special. I think you're right.
I think Boston sports in general is just, they're the most passionate people I know. So it could be hockey, it could be football, it could be basketball, it could be baseball, running, the marathon, obviously. All of them. I don't know if any of you have ever been. So I used to work at a company that was based in Cambridge. And so I got to go to Boston quite a bit. And when there was hockey games on or whatever it was, it didn't matter. Let's go to the bar and watch the games. I don't really, in Dallas, go to the bar to see any games. So just if I watch a game, maybe it's here at the house, but it's just a different atmosphere. And so that's what I love. I love sports in general, and I love how passionate they are about their sports. There's nobody else like it, like to me. So that's the other beauty. Any other last words? It's been really great. So thank you everyone for coming, and thank you everyone for tuning in to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel. Liz, Julie, Rebecca, Maddie, and Jill, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.